It's time to look at some more PSVR games, and this time it's a zombie special. Alright everyone, hope you're doing well, thanks for pressing play. I'm the man they call Pixel Paul, and this is another PSVR gaming video. So this time, and probably for future videos in this series, what I've decided to do is group sort of similar games together, and the first of those is going to be this one, the zombie special. So I've got 3 games to show you, all kind of zombie themed games. And I've got a bit of gameplay footage to show you with some of them as well, so let's just crack on. And that first game is Arizona Sunshine. So this is a game that I picked up last year, late last year I think it was. I might even have picked this up while I was on holiday actually, and just recently been able to give it a bit of a go. And I haven't quite finished it yet, not quite finished it, but I think I'm a decent sort of way through it. And yeah, an interesting one, this one. Let's have a look at Arizona Sunshine in action.
So damn hot. And Freddy over here trying to get a tan. Hey, Freddy, come on. Hey, a radio. Alright, let's see if this still works. Someone's broadcasted something, but from where? Damn it! Alright, think. I need to find another radio. I gotta get to the source of this. old Dutchman, huh? I would love to visit Amsterdam someday. Just relaxing. Look at all these cars. Looks like they all went running from a horde. Well, speaking of the bastards.
So, Arizona Sunshine. As you can tell from that footage, I have been enjoying that game, to be quite fair. It's quite good. It's a little bit basic looking. It's got a look to it like... It kind of reminded me of Firewatch a little bit. If you've ever played Firewatch, it sort of looks a little bit like that in some ways. The main control is with the aim controller, which is a big bonus for me because I love this controller. I think it's really good. My only problem with it is that so far I haven't been able to find a game that's really used this well since playing Farpoint. Now I think Farpoint has been the best use of this controller so far. But yeah, so you use the controller, and even though you're using the aim controller, it still uses like a teleport sort of system for moving around. So it does use that teleportation system to kind of do the movement and everything. I think it probably would have been better if you could use the stick, but I don't know if that is an option or not. I don't think it is for this game. But anyway, yeah, it's quite easy to control, quite easy to... a lot easier, I think, probably to use the aim controller. But yeah, the game itself. So it's pretty much what what you would expect from a game like this. It's more or less kind of like an arcade shooter in a way, not an on-rails shooter or anything like that, but it's more like an arcade sort of zombie shooter, and it's quite a satisfying one as well. When you do those headshots on the zombie, aim for the head, it gives off this really awful sounding squelchy noise, and it's quite satisfying, quite honestly. Yeah, it's not perfect in any way. From what I've played so far, it's a little bit repetitive, it's a little bit samey, but there are a nice sort of variety of weapons coming through as well. So like you saw there's a rifle, but there are different weapons that you can use as you go along as well, and it's all fairly easy to do as well. Reloading is not too bad. It's a one button press, and yeah, there's not a huge amount to say about it. I quite like the dialogue in it. It's quite funny, quite sort of witty as you go through the game. But yeah, it doesn't do anything spectacular, but what it does pretty well, does it pretty solidly, and it's quite a lot of fun. Like I said, I haven't fully finished it yet, but I don't think I'm far off. I think there's about probably 4 hours worth of game in there, which, for VR games is probably... It's about standard, isn't it? There's not many VR games which are, hours and hours and hours and hours. So 4 hours for this is probably about enough, really. At the moment, you pay in CEX, I think it's £8 for this game, which probably, again, yeah, it's probably about right. It's about fair, really. I think I paid a little bit less than that. I think I got this for £6, so it has gone up, I think. But yeah, for £8, I think it's a reasonable buy, and yeah, I have been enjoying it. Where does it sit in my sort of rankings of VR games? Not quite sure yet. Possibly not. Definitely not top 5. Possibly in the top 10. But time will tell. We'll see. But yeah, decent start, that one. I have been quite enjoying that one. So Arizona Sunshine, which has had a remake recently as well. I think it was a remake and not a remaster. It was a remake. I'm pretty sure it came out on PSVR 2. So I don't know what that one's like. That'd be quite good to sort of compare and see what it's like. But yeah, quite enjoying that one. Recommended. Right, so the next game I want to talk about is, well, it wasn't originally, I don't think it was originally a VR game. I don't know, I think when it got released, I think it was released as a sort of standalone game, but also a VR game at the same time. I think the option was always there, I think, anyway, I could be wrong. And that game is Resident Evil 7, Biohazard. Yeah, so I think a lot of people will have already played this game, probably more than likely sort of in standard gameplay, and it's a very good Resident Evil game. It's not one of my favourites, I must admit. So I've played and finished Resident Evil 7, in a standard sort of way. But I have also played it now in VR. I haven't finished it or anything like that. I've played probably two and a half hours maybe of it so far. Mainly because when I got the VR, it wasn't long since I'd played Resident Evil 7 already. So it was kind of like just going over old ground, which I'd not played that long ago. So it's one that I'm going to probably revisit in VR properly, in a few months or later this year, perhaps. But Resident Evil 7 is it's a very decent Resi game. I think when it first came out, it was sort of thought of as being quite a departure for the Resi series because of the first person view mainly. For me, it worked. It was certainly sort of very different. The opening is very sort of different. It's done in almost like the daylight, and then you walk to the house, and the house is a little bit less of a sort of creepy haunted house type place, which you kind of got used to in Resident Evil games, apart from maybe 5. But yeah, it feels more like Wrong Turn or something like that, and yeah, it's a very creepy and eerie game. In VR though, in VR it is taken to another level. It is incredibly atmospheric, very creepy, very dark. Very unnerving and unsettling actually, because of that immersion. So controls wise you do use a standard controller for it. Your movement is done by the stick, but turning is slightly different. It's sort of like, I think it was the buttons that do your turning, so it's a little bit almost like a return to tank controls a little bit, but it still works relatively well. But in general, yeah, in VR, it's fairly easy to play. It gets a little bit tricky, I thought, with some of the puzzles later on, but not to the degree that it sort of spoils it. Anyway, I don't know how much that becomes an issue later in the game. I'm trying to remember some of the puzzles sort of later in the game where it might be, but not off the top of my head, I can't think. But yeah, in VR. It's quite the experience. I think this might have been one of the... I had a handful of games already compatible with VR when I got my PSVR headset and first tried it out. And I did play quite a few of them, just to sort of see what it was like. And this was one of the first ones I tried, and then went back to it a few weeks later and sort of gave it a few hours. And yeah, this is one of those games where, if you just picked up PSVR, it's a good showcase for it, especially if you get someone who's not used to horror games or something like that, or just doesn't like horror. Yeah, stick this on, put the VR headset on them, and just mess with their heads a little bit. So good fun. So yeah, Biohazard, Resident Evil 7, very good VR game. Right, and the last zombie game that I wanted to showcase was The Walking Dead Onslaught. So I didn't realise that there are actually 2 Walking Dead games for PSVR. The name of the other game has escaped me. I can't remember what it's called. But apparently I think that one is the better of the 2. Now, I must admit, this one probably would have bypassed me a little bit if it hadn't been for the steelbook, which is really decent, nice little steelbook, that one. And I love a steelbook, so that's the reason why I picked this one up. It wasn't one that was particularly on my list of VR games to get originally. I don't think I even knew it existed, if I'm honest. But when I saw this steelbook and the fact that it's a VR game as well, that's what sort of tempted me to pick this one up. Anyway, so let's have a quick look at The Walking Dead Onslaught in action.
Damn it. The hell was Daryl thinking coming out here by himself?
Just remember, protocol dictates that things are going to heat up real fast out there.
No kidding. Be ready to meet at the fallback spot.
I will await your signal and arrange your rendezvous when mission success has been achieved.
Definitely Daryl. Yeah, looks like him. Daryl, you better have a damn good reason for running off.
You saying you wouldn't come with? Don't mean I can't do it myself.
I told you not to go.
Don't answer to you, Rick.
I have people to protect. That includes you.
There's a life at stake. Do you even care?
That isn't what I'm...
Maximum walkers coming this way. Might want to hunker down.
Drive to the fallback spot, Eugene. We can settle this later.
Here, take this.
Van's moving to the East Road. Let's go.
Yeah, I know the...
Watch it! Shit!
I'll be fine. Take the path to your left. I'll see you at the van.
Daryl! Daryl! Shit. Gotta get to the van. Fast. Can't be far now.
Finally, let's get out of here.
Your leg.
Just a little banged up from the bridge. I'll be fine.
Doesn't look fine to me.
Can we go already? Eugene, get that engine running.
You still owe me a talk.
So there's a lot of similarities in a way between Arizona Sunshine and The Walking Dead Onslaught. They're both pretty much like I said before, arcadey kind of shooters in a way. There's not a lot else going on with The Walking Dead. I feel like probably I was doing a little bit more in Arizona Sunshine than I have been doing in The Walking Dead. Again, I haven't finished this quite yet, but again, I think it's quite a short game, and I'm guessing probably about the same sort of 4-hour lifespan for this game. Now, I suppose the big difference between the two is the fact that it's got a license, and Graphically, it's probably just a little bit better. The presentation's a little bit better of it. Control system's also quite sort of different. So you are using the Move controllers for this one. These things I'm a bit undecided with. Sometimes these work really well with VR games. Sometimes I don't know if they just overcomplicate things a little bit. I'm thinking of games like Iron Man VR and one or two others. But then in other games like Blood and Truth, these work really, really well. So this one probably sits somewhere in between. They kind of work. I can see why you need them over, say, maybe like the aim controller. I'm guessing maybe... No, you can't actually use the standard controller for this as well, so you do have to use those for this. Yeah, I don't know if it was these which just held me back a little bit when playing this game. But I think compared to Arizona Sunshine, it's just lacking something. It just... Although it's got that license and the characters and the character models and the voices, it just possibly lacked a little bit of substance, maybe. I don't know if that's the word, or character. Possibly character, actually. Arizona Sunshine's got a little bit of sort of tongue-in-cheek humour to it, whereas this is quite, you know, straight to the point and a bit bleak and, you know, a bit like the series, I suppose, to a degree. So yeah, it just lacks a little bit of fun, maybe. It's perfectly passable. It's a decent game, but it's just lacking something, and then possibly that's one of the things that maybe lifted the other Walking Dead game on PSVR. I honestly can't remember the name of the other one, which is a shame, but it's one that I wouldn't mind possibly trying out because it is a perfectly decent game. It's just lacking something for me. It's all very sort of samey. It's not... Although probably from the footage, and that was, I think that footage that I took there was my first go at this game, and I have been playing it since, and I've got a little bit better at it. And it's not that difficult. I seem to be sort of flying through missions quite quickly now. Once you get your head around the controls and start to get to grips with the Move controllers, it does start to get a little bit easier. And yeah, it's just, I just seem to be just kind of flying through this game a little bit, and I wouldn't say it's particularly memorable either, which is a shame. But yeah, perfectly passable, but just not, I wouldn't say an absolute sort of necessity or a must-have for PSVR, this one. So those are the three games that I wanted to talk about this time. All perfectly good games. Walking Dead is just okay. Resident Evil 7 is, I think a lot of people absolutely love this game. For me, it's a decent Resident Evil game. I do like it. VR does give it something different. I think I prefer playing it the standard way, I think. But no, it's a good game. And Arizona Sunshine probably is the surprise one of the three. I think that's a really good game, actually, and I have enjoyed playing it, and I think it's a game that I might go back to as well. So I think, yeah, Arizona Sunshine is probably the surprise favourite out of those three games. But let me know what you think of those three. Have you played any of these? Did you like Arizona Sunshine? If you've played Resident Evil 7, do you prefer it in the standard way to play it, or do you prefer it in PSVR? And what was the name of that other Walking Dead game on VR? Let me know, because I just cannot remember. I have seen it, but I just can't remember what it was called. So I hope you enjoyed that one. I'll be doing more and more of these PSVR videos over the coming months. I've still got plenty more PlayStation VR games to play and to talk about, and yeah, still enjoy doing them, still enjoy playing it. So yeah, hope you do too. Thanks for pressing play as always, and I will see you next time.